This is your daily crypto news. Today we're covering the Jupiter vote, which is very, very important, absolutely vitally important. Then we're seeing some crazy stuff happening with Pump.fun. And there's also a little bit of a meme ordinals experience that you may be keen on. Let's dive in. So this is the most important thing. The Jupuary vote. Are you comfortable with 2 more Jupuaries? 700 million Jup each. Vote runs for 4 days. Should be starting today, probably 3 p.m. UTC. We've got no exact confirmation of that. Needs 70% of yes to pass. And there's no lock after the claim, meaning if you get 1,000 Jup, you can take it, you can stake it, you can sell it. There's no lock whatsoever. And 70% of everybody that's going and voting, at least 70% of all of the voting weight, all of the Jup tokens, needs to actually say yes, otherwise it does not pass. There's more information here. My kind of initial idea is that it's going to pass as no, and then it'll be iterated on. And then by the 2nd or 3rd time, it will pass because this has to be ready for January. Now, remember, this is probably the most important thing in the history of this DAO and this community. And it's very, very, very relevant. We will be seeing a Jup research post somewhere here later on today, maybe by the time this video is released. And if you go to vote.jup.ag, you'll come down and you'll see a new vote here, which is currently obviously not live. A couple of things to keep in mind. Huge number of unique addresses. Total staked Jup has been increasing, not decreasing. I'm not unsure if they've been unstaking and it's still taking time to unstake before they can sell, or if they've got a short position. I'm not sure if there is FUD on there. We'd probably have to look at doing analytics or something like that. But in general, the price is actually fine. Just keep in mind that this is a 50% more of a supply. So probably the biggest thing to keep in mind is that price will go down. It is expected to go down. It's not like a certain prediction, but when you're putting on so much supply, that sell pressure will be sizable. Now, even if there's no sell pressure, I wouldn't be wanting to hold Sol and Jup right now in a liquidity pair as an example. And some people will just be shorting it as a hedge because they'll be getting more tokens, because then they'll be making more money, right, if the price does go down. Otherwise, they'll be keeping the same value. If you don't understand hedging, I've got a video on hedging with Drift. Greenery in the markets, plenty of greenery. Some tokens have been just doing absolutely insane returns. And why? Simple. It's a bull market. Whales move into things that have no use case. Sui, I'd like some more Sui. You don't care for ETH. I don't think any of the layer 2 solutions are going to do very well. I'm not sure if we could see what OP's done. I mean, so $2, big unlock coming up on that. Sol's doing pretty good. BNB's okay over there, and BTC is good. And the XRP army is pumping their bags. Doge as well. Doge will probably do pretty well this cycle. We're greedy at 82, but not too greedy. As I mentioned, big unlocks coming. We've got Sui within the next couple of weeks, $13 million worth of Sui. It'll probably be absorbed into the market, to be perfectly honest, but you may want to set some limit orders if you're trying to accumulate some Sui. Now, just remember that this time is actually different because we've got this massive amount of liquidity coming in the form of hedge funds. They'll be wanting returns, all of the ETFs. Those big players, they'll want returns. They will put money into marketing. They will put the exit liquidity there in the form of people that are not really familiar with crypto, but suddenly start to FOMO in. So position yourself now. This is your time to hustle and to build your bags. If you're losing too much money on meme coins, then you need to probably go and allocate 5% max of your total portfolio and DD with that, and everything else just goes into the value plays. Not financial advice, but just probably something to consider. Decent amount of money is liquidated from cryptocurrency market in the past 4 hours. We'll see this more and more. So don't be over leveraged as well unless you really know what you're doing. The Magic Eden TGE will be on December 10th. This will be it'll retire some bloodlines for some, I think. There's a lot of hype on this. However, I think you're only probably going to do really well if you have a huge number of tokens, like diamonds, and if you played on the Ordinals network, which I never did. Speaking of Ordinals, unsure if you're going to make this by the time this video comes out. Hopefully, we'll see how we go. 3 p.m. UTC today, Runes Mint, Runes Key. Decent number of followers, not sure about it at all, to be perfectly honest. Nothing crazy with engagement, but a sizable amount. And there's been a lot of people that have actually gone and pre-ordered this. So if this is a price that you're willing to spend, unsure how much that is, we'll have a quick look, then you may want to jump in for public. I am not skilled when it comes to ordinals in any way. So I'm just letting you know that something's happening over there. It relates $175, it's pretty expensive. But it relates to, the Bitcoin chain, which has a huge amount of interest. It's had a huge amount of interest throughout the bear market, and it will continue to do well. So if you only had bandwidth for 2 or 3 blockchains, maybe it would be like Sui, Solana, and Bitcoin ordinals. Just gas and whatnot makes it more expensive over there. Bonk at Formula One, the drone show looked absolutely amazing. And this has happened before in Dubai. So I love that they keep on doing this. This is why I refer to the fact that Bonk has to outperform with, because even though it's got early contributors, it's basically a CTO, a community takeover, cannot organize as well as people that started it, have iterated on things, take feedback, that sort of stuff. Because with the CTO, unless there's like a decent kind of, I just don't see any way in which With can outperform. I could be mistaken, but this is pretty cool. If you want to hold both, go for it, of course. I put a leverage long on With the other day. It did not do well, so stay away from leverage. The Bonk Dragon, you wait until you can see what the Bonk Dragon has in store. Horrendous AI generated things, but that's okay. It's part of the funniness meme, I guess. Maybe not too horrendous. Either way, Bonk Dragon should be resulting in some sort of Bonk Miss gift, and not entirely sure what's going to be here, but I would encourage a Let's Bonk. I would imagine there'd be some sort of end dragon attribute thing where you have to connect your Twitter so that they know that you're not a sibling. So, you don't want to have 50 wallets that are doing this. They get $1,000 worth of bonk. You want to have 50 different people. So for now, I'm unsure what the play is, but just hashtag Let's Bonk, get amongst it. Also, you've got a couple more days to get into the bonk bets. So to get the Bonk Dragon attribute, $1 million worth of bonk, and you'll have a look here. Here's a recap on how to do this. The dragon's tail is tingling every time you do this. 50,000 bonk is burnt. Now we've got some Jup JLP news. So there's a huge amount of utilization for Sol and BTC and perps right now. And because of this, to alleviate the liquidity crunch, we can actually, you can go ahead and deposit funds. You can connect wallet and you can go and actually buy JLP. Normally you just have to trade it. But I've increased the AUM and you can see 100% utilization for Sol and almost 89 for WBTC. If you are using this perps DEX, and you're more than welcome to do so, these sort of perps DEX, just to be clear, all perps DEX really, you want to keep your position open for a shorter period of time. This is not somewhere where you want to keep a position open for months and months and months, because especially not at low leverage, because you'll end up paying a decent funding rate. So as an example, let's say we put on a $1,000 trade, that $1,000 trade at like leverage. I don't have the math here, but in say 3-4 months, we may spend a couple of $100 on funding fees, $200-$300. And you may think, well, Sol went up, so I made, it's now worth 2,000 minus 300 is 1,700. That's still good. If it's a lower leverage kind of system, you're probably best off to do like a Sol long with a position feature on Camino Finance. And then you're going to spend a far smaller amount because you're just borrowing USDC in order to pump it up. So that's just something to keep in mind for you. But I do love the Jup perps DEX. And if you're using this, take a little bit of your profit, hold the JLP token. That way you can upside when more people use it due to the fees. So it's kind of like if you use the Solana blockchain, you have to pay more and more gas. Just stake your Sol with Validate.com. That way you get back a lot of the MEV. And so it's kind of neutral. It's positive to stake your Sol. Pump.fun live streams are getting closer and closer to dark web content. We're looking at some pretty nasty stuff. I don't really want to go over it, other than for them to put this out in some sort of completely unmoderated way. I think it's irresponsible, and it will attract the attention, in my opinion, of legislators that want to kind of shut it down, and it puts a stain on crypto. I know there's a lot of rubbish things in crypto. There's a lot of good things. This is not the answer. So check out Moonshot instead, and Pump.fun. They really need to sort this out. We're looking at things like people in cages, shooting animals, all sorts of silly stuff. And it's just kind of disgusting. We have this here from Kate. This is a thread on airdrops. You can check this out at your leisure. Maybe some of these appeal to you. Either way, it's a good source of information in one main space. So check this out if you want to do some airdrop hunting. Now the actionables. DCA Sol on Jup.ag, stake with Validate.com. Join my Telegram channel for time-sensitive updates. DCA Bonk on Jup.ag. Get the latest Bonk Dragon attribute by bidding 1 million Bonk on Bonk Bets. That ends November 28th. And the airdrop actionables, Meteor, Bull Run on Infinex, and use Gradient Network and Grass. That's everything for today. I'll be traveling for this week, so there'll be less live streams, but I may be live streaming soon, maybe tomorrow. In the meantime, just keep on top of things and remember just to be really, really safe out there. I'll end with one final thing. The last thing is that Fabiano's Twitter was hacked. It looks as though he's regained control now. I'm not entirely sure, but basically there's a lot of fake links coming out and they're very obvious as scams to me, but not to everybody. The important thing is if you're interacting with things and you're unsure if it's safe, make sure you set up a burner wallet. That's my tip of the day, probably my tip of the week. People will be breached, people will be hacked during this very, very bullish period. So best way to protect yourself is by using a burner and just trying to use a little bit of common sense as well. That's all. Let me know your thoughts below regarding Jupuary and if you'll be voting yes or no, and I'll give you more thoughts tomorrow.